my friends in the street playing soccer. My mama, she's supposed to send me to school, but me, I skip school just for go anywhere where I want and learn things that wasn't good for me. But I remember in 1989, in the month of July, she told me, I will take you to one place. And I was wondering what place was it. But she told me you will have their friends, candies. Oh man, I heard that candies. Oh, that would be great. She told me to the Zero. She take me to the Zero Children, and we take the bus and we stay there like 12. I remember the hour, like 12 o'clock. No, 1 o'clock. All the children were at lunch, and my mama was in the office, talk with Luis Bisuet, the director in that time. And I refused to go to see the children because I have no idea what's going there. And she left me, and so the separation comes, and I cry a little bit. And I saw all the kids online, like they follow the rules, but in my case there are no rules. I make my own rules, and I'm at my home. I come late in school, just having fun, like at my way. So I saw all the children different than me. In the manner they talk, they treat each other. And so the five first months of the Zero Children was, in my case, the hard, because I started to learn about rules. It's cool. It's cool, yeah, but and one thing that I observed very, very clear, all the children praise God. Like in my case, I don't do it. I know about God, I hear about God, but I consider in that time Catholic, but that was so far away. But we have our own, I don't know how to call it, like your own group in the community, in the population. So my group, we consider Catholic. We know other kids who are like Church of Christ, and we don't treat them very well. Like we throw rocks to them, and doing some kid stuff. But if I go back then, maybe the rocks will be thrown at me again. Like that's. I remember that. So back in the Zero Children, I heard about God and seeing the kids, like everyone's happy and having joy, and I love that time because the groups from America come like in summer. Oh, Americanos, they see me, oh, Americanos, like first time, like, oh, food. And they have given me hugs, but me like, I was not able to share like my expressions like that. But the environment of the Zero Children attract me. So I become more educated, like, I mean, in the manner how to treat the other kids and my way to talk, because everything was so different, a huge difference. So I start to study, start reading. I remember some illustrated, I don't know how to call it in English, like illustrated little Bible. And I started reading, like, oh, it's great. And about Jesus, Abraham, all that, Old Testament, all histories. And I read it twice, more and more and more. And I started memorize all the Bible, like Genesis, and just from my own. Like, nobody told me you need to memorize. No, just I did it. And then here, like hearing all the kids singing the song for God in the praise of the church, like, was new for me. Like, I was the first day of the church, I was sitting and, oh, here's the new kid. Oh, welcome, Jose. And I was like, oh. And they start singing, and I don't understand what they sing, because I know the sing song of praise has orders, like 1, 2, I don't know how to call it in English that. And I don't pay attention, but the other kids teach me, this is, you sing this first line first, and then the other one, and so my favorite songs where I learned first was Jesus Loves Me. But it took me a long time to get baptized, like from 89 to 97, like 8 years take me to get baptized. And so I become a Christian, and I feel well. There's a God, but you believe in God more because you have like at the church you have your big family, everybody take care of each one another, and so it's great. So I started going to school. I finished my elementary school. I get one diploma. I can't believe it because I skipped school before, and when I get diploma, I just Jose Velasquez, they mentioned your name to go out in the stage. Please come in and you get your diploma for you and your best in your group, and me, good. And so then come junior high. Junior high I become more regular student, like had some good grades, but not awesome as elementary school. And high school, so when I was finished high school, on that at first I didn't want to go to college. My papa know that, Stan know that. So he encouraged me, you need to go to school, to college. He gave me some good advice. I heard advice from many people in the City of Children, and I'm glad to hear it and pay attention to the advice they told me, the old people. And now I'm in college. This is my last year. I look behind and I say, the City of Children gave me a lot, and now, so I have other vision, other way to think, other way to treat the people. So I think and I say, why have all these things? Why God gave me a lot? So I learn English. There's some, I don't know how to say, like newspaper, and I check the Church of Christ from America. They support the City of Children, and I think these people they help us. Maybe some they know us. They go there and meet us there, but some they know, and they help us, giving money, all the donations, and say, why? And I asked myself, why? And the only answer I know of this day is they really love God. God moves their hearts to share things with us. And when we pray, we ask God to multiply all the things they do for us. It's hard to. So now I'm 22 years old. I know the little children very well. I see the other kids, babies like 2 years old. I meet them like 2 years old. I see them grow up more than me, like. And sometimes I play with them, like, I say, I'm so proud of you, man, like. So I was looking for a concept for a meaning for the future children. I was thinking that, like, when Stan told me, like, if I want to talk at Murrieta Church, I say yes. I answer yes quickly, and I keep thinking about the meaning of the Syrian children, like since that day until yesterday. And I on my bed, like 1:12, I say, like, the only meaning I got is the Syrian children is love and God. Thank you for hearing me. I don't know if I got 10 minutes or like that. Thank you.
Isn't it great to hear Jose? The Baja mission work is a work of the Churches of Christ that Carol and I started in 1995. We went out and saw that there was a number of congregations where the preachers didn't have any support. Matter of fact, they hardly had a building. And because of that, we determined that we would do our best to try to help. City of Children was running pretty good, and I had extra time, and so we started this work. And for the first couple of years, we did it personally and tried to help these people. But as we saw the needs and how much was needed, it was obvious that I needed help. And the time come when it was time to twist a few arms. And Lee expressed in his lesson this morning how I twisted his arm to go to San Quintin. It's a good thing because the Lord had a purpose for that. And because of that, the congregation at Mayfair in Huntsville, Alabama has really come on and been an active participant in the Baja mission work. Just recently, they've started a new 501c3 corporation, which is a nonprofit corporation, and the work is going to be overseen by their 12 elders, and we're thankful for that because I didn't want to be known as the Pope of Baja. Some of the people, I think, were starting to feel that way. And so it's a great blessing to have an association with Mayfair and be able to join with them in helping to further the work of the Lord there in Baja. Your participation in this work has been a great blessing because we have 4 congregations that we've helped establish, and we have a 5th one that just recently we started sending reports for, and we've been able to get some help from them. Matter of fact, from the Antioch congregation in Tennessee. Last year, we had over 100 baptisms in the Baja mission work. And so far this year, between the City of Children and the Baja Mission work, we've had 61 baptisms. And that's not without a few problems that we saw. I recently had a deep vein thrombosis in my leg, and it broke off and went into both lungs, and that slowed me down for a while. And Brother Franco, the minister for the Cerrillo congregation, his 18-year-old daughter was killed in an auto accident. On the day of her funeral, his father died of a heart attack. And so we've had some real strain and stress in this work, but in spite of it, the Lord has continued to bless the work, and it continues to grow. 2 years ago, the Baja Missions paid $16,500 for a lot in Monedero. And due to problems with the title, we've never been able to build on it until recently. During that time, we asked for donations to build a building there. And every once in a while, I'd hear these radio announcements when I was listening to the radio about General Steel Corporation, how cheap it was to get a building from them. So I inquired of them, and an 80 by 40 building, 3,200 square feet, would cost about $18,000 for the shell, and then to put the windows, the doors, the insulation, and all the stuff for a church building, it would cost $41,000. So we've recently ordered a building from them to put up on the Monedero property. And it should be delivered hopefully in the next month to 2 months. According to them, they'll bring it all the way down to Monedero for us. All we have to do is pay the shipping. And matter of fact, Tom, your elder, has volunteered you to come erect this building. And we're really thankful. So if he comes and puts the hammer on you, you'll know why. The property's in a very poor section of town. There are literally hundreds of kids in this area, in Reynolds next door and across the street. Every time we pull up in a van, the kids come running out of the buildings and out of this area to greet you, to see if you got any candy for them, because a lot of the groups have brought candy and given it to them. But it's truly a great place to have a church. And we believe that as soon as we put up the church building, it'll probably be full. Just today, there's probably about 25 adults, and it runs 25 to 35 adults, and 40 kids meeting in the 3 tents that you donated to them to have their worship services. They sit on some cement blocks with some boards stretched across them, and some old used folding chairs, but they're having worship this morning just as we are. I want to share a few stories. Got ahead of myself. I want to mention in Ephesians 5:1, God tells us that we're to be imitators of Christ. And in 1 Peter 2:21, we're told to follow in Jesus' steps. The New Testament records 33 stories how Christ touched people's lives. Some reached out to him, but he reached out to them all. Christians have an obligation to reach out to those in need, just as Jesus did. Jesus can still touch people through you. Jesus teaches us who our neighbor is in the story of the Good Samaritan in Luke 10, verses 25 to 37. We learn 3 important principles in this story of the Good Samaritan. We learn that a lack of love is often easy to justify, even though it is never right. This is shown by the actions of the priest and the Levite. Our neighbor is anyone of any race, creed, or social background who's in need. Love means acting to meet our neighbor's needs. And that's what we're talking about in Baja Missions. This morning I want to share a few stories about our neighbors who worship at the Cerrillo congregation. A few years ago I met Alberto, Iracema, and Angel, their son. They were living in the back of an old abandoned van. Alberto worked in the fields for $8 a day, and that's when there's crops to be picked. Sister Iracema, his wife, suffers with kidney cancer, diabetes, and drags a crippled foot. Her medication cost more than Alberto made. Alberto worked as a mechanic before going to the fields, but he sold his tools to pay for Iracema's medicine. Life was very hard and difficult for the family. Her main concern was not for herself, but for her son after she was gone. Who would be there to help raise him? I wrote about their problems in my weekly email report for Baja Missions. Our brethren responded generously with donations. This help provided the funds for Iracema's medicine. The Monrovia congregation was there visiting one week and decided to build them a 10 by 12 room so they could move out of the old abandoned van. I've taken many brethren to visit this family. We have a special prayer for Iracema every time we go. And for the past 3 years, I believe she has continued to live because of the prayers of the brethren. Everyone's always touched by these visits. Alberto says they pray for an hour every night before going to bed to ask God to bless the Americans who are helping them. Alberto fasts once a week and has a special prayer time himself to thank God for these blessings. They are filled with thanksgiving for what the Lord has done for them. Alberto helps at church by filling in for Brother Franco when he's not there. It's a real joy to meet a Christian family like this, as poor as they are, who struggles just to have enough to eat every day. Another family that I met in Zarrillo is Ramon Ledzema. Ramon is a blind brother. He thought he would never see again, but he went and had to an ophthalmologist and found out that there was a possibility that he might see, but he needed $3,000 for the eye surgery. Once again, I wrote about this need in my email report that I send out, and within 30 days, the Lord's people come up with the $3,000 for Brother Ramon's surgery. The sad part is that he did have the surgery, but he still can't see. It was not successful. But Brother Ramon was still thankful, and his wife and 3 children, him, lived in a very poor section, or a poor house. Matter of fact, just a shack. And the Yorba Linda congregation heard about the plight of this family and volunteered to go down and build them a house. And they came one weekend and put up an 11 by 22 house. And for a blind man with 3 children and a wife who has to support him, it was just a tremendous blessing. And he can't say enough good about what the Yorba Linda Church has done for him in his life. Another member that lives right across the street is Ramon Benaga. This brother was missing a leg from the knee down, and he had a board. He was a true peg leg, just like a pirate. And he had a hard time working in the fields with his peg leg, and he'd always wanted a prosthesis so he could better care for his family. And once again, I wrote about it in the reports. And again, within 30 days, the Lord's people provided the $1,800 to buy him his new artificial leg. I tell you these stories because it's wonderful how the Lord works on people's hearts all over the country. I mean, I would estimate that these email reports probably reach 2,000 people. But every time I've written about a need, the Lord's people have responded and given for it. Recently, I wrote about a girl named Sandra. Brother Franco was out on the highway coming back to Zarrillo, and he saw this older couple with this girl, and she has cerebral palsy. She shakes very bad, can't control much of her emotions. Brother Franco got to talking with the family as they rode back to Zarrillo, and found out that their daughter Sandra had been raped, and she had just given birth to a baby a week before, and they had been to town with the baby to see the doctor, and they were returning back home. So he took them back to their house, and their house consisted of 4 walls with no roof, only a piece of canvas over the top of it. And Brother Franco befriended this family and told me about it. Once again, I started writing about them, telling other people about it. We had some brethren come in from the Jackson congregation, the Campbell Street congregation out of Jackson, Tennessee. And they met these people and heard the story. And they went back the next weekend and spoke before the congregation and raised $2,400 that morning to help support this family because they didn't have enough money for them to eat and take care of the baby. The mother has to stay home with the daughter and the baby, and the father works in the fields. And so once again, the Lord has taken care and met the needs of this poor family. Another couple in North Carolina who read about it sent the money to buy them a new house. There's a place there in town that makes prefab houses. They're only like 16 square feet. 16 by 16. That's more square feet, but a square house. But anyway, they moved that small house on the next week because they had one already built. So it took care of the needs of this family. And during that time, they become Christians. And I think the real interesting thing here is once you turn your life over to Christ, look at the changes that can happen in it. These poor people had no chance of any of this ever happening unless the Lord did it for them. And he does it through each of you and our other brethren across the country as they hear and their hearts are touched. Last year in the Baja mission work, there were 8 homes that were built for the poor. And it's a tremendous blessing to see our brethren come. Other groups have been doing it for years. And I saw what they were doing. Matter of fact, there was a number of churches of Christ in the Northwest, in Oregon and Washington, who come down and they build houses for non-denominational groups. And so I started talking to some of them. Well, how about coming and working with the churches of Christ in Baja and build houses for the poor of the church? And sure enough, they were interested. And many of you remember Phil, who worshiped here and moved to Washington a few years ago. The congregation where he worships in Vancouver, Washington, has a group of 100 coming for a week this summer to build 3 homes in Zorrillo. And we're proud of that and glad about that. And we have a total of 15 mission groups coming to work with Baja Missions for a week from all over the country this year. In addition to that, we have 20 groups that will have come to the City of Children for a week this year. So you might get the idea that I'm rather busy. Now, it's kind of like running a big hotel, because a lot of these people come stay with us, the groups that come for the City of Children. The rest come and stay usually in hotels and work with the churches. But the one thing that they couldn't do without is Carol. Carol buys the food for all the groups that fly in. They send her a list, and she goes out and gathers it all up and has it there for them. And she's a great help to this work. And it's like Tom said, the work wouldn't go forward without her and her dedication to taking care of all the details, because I'm no detail person. How are we doing on time? God wants to use you in the mission work in Baja. He's inviting you to come be a part of it. We hope and pray that you will plan to come and be a part of the next trip that's planned by the Marietta Church. We're sure that you will be blessed for your effort, because we've seen what's happened to all these people that come. We have people that come all the time, that the first time they were very hesitant to come, but after they saw the blessings the Lord poured out on their life for being a part of this, they've continued to come year after year. I have a group of 10 brothers from Bentonville, Arkansas there right now. Over half of them, this was their first visit. 2 of them are even elders that come, and they're building 2 houses in Zorrillo right now. And one of the brothers, Gary Halford, is one of our board of trustees. And he told me that one of the brothers that come with him is a very wealthy man who always comes to church and sits in the last pew and gets up and leaves the church building every Sunday morning just as fast as he can. And never had much fellowship with him, but he heard about this trip and wanted to come on it. And he's done it. And he is a contractor that builds houses, like $1 million houses. And he's in charge of building these 2 houses in Baja. He wants them to be the best houses in Zorrillo. And I mean, he is caught up in it. He works from 7 in the morning till 9 at night, making sure these houses are going to be the best ones. And that's what happens to people. God can use you and give you the same kind of experiences. And if you don't want to go build a house, you don't have to. You can come, just spend a few hours with the children at the City of Children. They don't have mothers and fathers there all the time.